reality is that Paris Saint-Germain could still exit the Champions League. If they're beaten at Stuttgart and City beat Bruges, then the celebrations we're watching here would have been completely for nothing. Because as it stands, as I look at this table in front of me, a City win against Bruges, they will still qualify for the playoffs because they'll knock Bruges out of 20th spot and take their place. And if then Stuttgart beat Paris Saint-Germain, then Paris Saint-Germain will drop out of the top 24. That's how ridiculous it is. Remember, every single team plays at the same time next Wednesday night. If you've not got a ticket for the Etihad Stadium next Wednesday, make sure you get one. The final score here in the Parc des Princes, City have lost by 4 goals to 2, having led by 2 goals to 0. Well, let's go back to the studio, and a quite extraordinary second half to reflect upon in the company of Izzy, David and Natalie.
Thank you very much to Alistair Mann and to Nikki Weaver for the excellent second half commentary. So it is heartbreak in Paris for City as we let a 2-goal lead slip and City lose the game 4-2. I mean, the scenes on the pitch there from the Arsenal players, that is how much it means to them. They were effectively going out if they had not won this game. It was a sensational second half in many ways. I mean, certainly for the neutral, which of course we are not here, where it is indeed heartbreak for us. But David, give us your assessment, and I mean, if you can, try and put that second half into words.
Well, Nikki Weaver said it in commentary, didn't he? For a neutral, what a fantastic game of football. In a strange way, I always say about scoring early is detrimental to the outcome of a game, but usually refers to the first 15 minutes of the game. That second half, because City started so well, 2 goals in 6 minutes, first 6 minutes, I think it had a similar effect. Paris Saint-Germain only had one thing to do then, and that was to have to get back into the game, and City were effectively defending a 2-0 lead. I'm not a fan of the 2-0 is a dangerous scoreline. It's a better scoreline than 1-0. In this case, obviously, with Paris Saint-Germain winning, it could have been 3-0, and the 4 goals from Paris Saint-Germain would have been enough. But substitutions make a difference. The loss of Diaz, I don't think he would have been directly involved perhaps with both the first 2 goals for Paris Saint-Germain, but I think after the first one, his leadership role and qualities would have kept that defence tighter. Barcola was fantastic. Let's be fair, Paris Saint-Germain that second half were exceptional.
Izzy, what did you make?
Yeah, I think it's very deflating, of course, but I think there's still an opportunity ahead. But it was a difficult night for City, and I think you're spot on with regards to the 2-0 lead, obviously Grealish and then Haaland. It then gives Paris Saint-Germain just an all-or-nothing mindset. They have something to protect at 0-0, and the game was a little bit fragile in the first half, and then they've got their rewards for having a right go, if you, to put it for want of a better term. But I think that Man City, we needed to make changes in the second half in order to manage players, in order to protect the squad. And Pep trusts his squad, of course. And you know, the dynamic changed a little with Rico Lewis coming on. Obviously, like you mentioned, Diaz going off, we lose that sort of presence and physicality, if you like, at the back, the leadership, the state of the game mentality. And yeah, it was a difficult night, but there's still a fantastic opportunity ahead next week. And I bet the Etihad will be bouncing next Wednesday night. Hopefully it's not as rainy as it was in Paris.
I've got to say, because you said this at the beginning of the show about the support and the atmosphere. You could tell, especially with the first goal from Paris Saint-Germain, that place started to rock. Yeah. You could hear the noise, you could hear the support for the team, and that's the kind of atmosphere that City fans are going to have to produce next week to get 3 points, to get the qualification.
Absolutely, because of course it's a really disappointing night, but all is not lost yet. City can still qualify and make the playoff stage, because of course City take on Bruges next week. We currently sit on 8 points, Bruges sit on 11 points, but we do have a superior goal difference just. They are on -2 and we are on 2. So effectively that does mean City beat Bruges next week and they will qualify regardless of what anybody else does. City draw or lose and they are out of the Champions League at this stage. So is a few sleepless nights between now and next Wednesday, but everybody plays at the same time next Wednesday as well, 8 o'clock. It's going to be one heck of a game. And as Alistair Mann kept saying in commentary, if you can get to the game and you don't have a ticket yet, get there, because it is going to be one heck of a night. And yeah, I cannot wait for the atmosphere as well. Let's talk through the goals. So City came out in the second half, electric. I mean, I was so positive for the first few minutes of the second half. Jack Grealish came on at half-time. Now, before we talk about the first goal, we've got to give praise to Manuel Akanji as well, because he runs down that right-hand side and cuts in and round as if we were looking at Savinho or Doku for a minute. He was brilliant in that moment of the ball. Bernardo Silva's shot is saved, and Jack Grealish was there to pounce on it, David.
Yeah, and I think it was his first touch. I know he was chasing. I think it was Doué earlier on defensively, but I don't think he actually tackled him. So that was possibly his first touch. It was a wonderful run to save by Akanji. The save from Donnarumma. Interestingly, the first save was fantastic, but then I think he palms it out to Jack Grealish to go and smash it in. Yeah. Erling Haaland was trying to get a deflection for his goal bonus, but it was a fantastic start to the second half. And when you make substitutions who have an instant impact, that was Jack Grealish.
Yeah. And we're, for Jack to score as well, is because it's been a while. He's taken some flack. Of course, he scored in the Salford game. So for him to come on, for that confidence immediately to get the goal, I was so thrilled for him.
Yeah, it was massive. I think Erling Haaland as well plays a little part in it. When you see it back, he actually screens the defender a little bit to just give Grealish that extra little bit of time to make sure he executes the finish right, which I think he does brilliantly well. The ball's on the half bounce, if you like. It's a half volley. It's excellent technique. And when you are receiving flack, when there's a lot of noise and people sort of criticising your form and your goal scoring form in particular as a forward player, all you need is something to fall for you like that. And he got his, it wasn't luck, it was by design in terms of the work by Akanji, but it was a super finish from Grealish, and it obviously started off the second half in a really good way.
Then City went 2-0 up. Again, came down that right-hand side. Shout out to Matheus Nunes' involvement in that for drawing some of the defenders towards him. Grealish had a cross. It took a bit of a deflection. He was onside. We held our breath for a minute, and it falls beautifully to Erling Haaland for that second goal, David.
Yeah, there was the knee offside, or knee offside. Sorry, in the first half. I mean, this one actually looked at first instance like it was worse, but obviously VAR checked that and it was fine. And Erling, I mean, he's not going to score many easier goals this season, but he still had to have his composure. Donnarumma full stretch, getting hands to it, but not enough to stop from going. And at that point, I think we all felt
in control.
This is City for 3 points.
I naively started thinking about the playoff rounds and who we might be playing. That is completely my fault, my error. Should know better than that. Before we have a chat about the PSG goals, you can see the stats on the screen behind you. So City ending up with less percentage of possession in the game, 44% for City. The stat there that's standing out for me, David, total attempts for Paris Saint-Germain, 23.
23. And of those 23... there were a few wayward ones, but a lot of them were close. A lot of long shots. I mean, when we go into the details of the goal, I mean, I think the first goal for Paris Saint-Germain was come off the crossbar. There was that Dembele shot that hit the crossbar where he absolutely leathered the skin off it. It's frustrating because as much as I thought City would win this game 4-1, it was because of all the other aspects of Paris Saint-Germain and the chances. I mean, City 6 shots on target. That was the bit of Paris Saint-Germain that I thought City would exploit. But the quality in that side, without the what did you call them?
Ego.
The egos. And as Izzy rightly said, the balance is better in this team. You've got the quality with the balance. You're not looking for a superstar to win the game. You're looking for a team to do it. And I think from the 2 goals that City scored in that first sort of 7-8 minutes of the second half to Gundogan's shot over the bar, there was about 30 minutes in between. And that was just PSG shot off, shot off, shot.
They have some superstars coming through as well, don't they? They really do. And Doué had an incredible game. Say no more about that. Let's talk about the goals. Okay, so they first made it 2-1. So it was the Barcola again, another that had an incredible game. He nutmegs Matheus Nunes down the side, and he bursts he bursts forward and there's so much space ahead of him, Izzy.
Yeah, and this is where PSG, like I said, they took it by the scruff of the neck, the game, and you have to give the players credit for that, because like you say, there's a lot of talent in this team, and I thought Barcola in particular, I thought he was a threat. I thought Dembele, when he came off the bench at half-time, they just seemed to capitalise on the fact that Matheus Nunes isn't a natural defender or a natural fullback, which he's been doing an absolutely fantastic job, especially his physicality and his ability to compete. But PSG, they have always had players who are super talented, super good at 1v1 dribbling, and that is where some of their goals came from, and it caused us a lot of issues.
Yeah, because the second one again came from Doué again, who that shot that absolutely smashed the bar. It came back out to Barcola, who on the replay, it was his heel, wasn't it, David? So there's an element of luck in that. Or he's there, he's the fastest.
I don't want to tell any striker who scores a goal that they were lucky. They will argue that they took the shot and it doesn't matter what it comes off. You're right, again, cutting in from the right-hand side. The curl was superb because Eddie's full stretch, the flight in the ball was superb. Nicky said it in commentary. Although I like to think the best shots obviously go in. This hitting the crossbar, coming down, Barcola, yeah, it was almost like he wanted to do something else, and it's come off his heel. And I felt for Eddie because he's compromised in his position. It seemed to go inches away from his hand. If he connected with it properly, Eddie might be able to make the save. And then it's gone off the post, I think, which made it even more painful. But again, this was where we talk about the momentum in the game. The momentum had completely switched.
Yeah. It felt like we were waiting almost then for PSG to get the third goal, and it did come. I feel like it was unfortunate because it came from a free kick, which Rico Lewis, the ball had bounced and hit his hand. Like, I don't think there was no deliberate handball action in it. It bounced up and come off his hand, and then they got a free kick from which they went on to score.
Yeah.
So it feels a little bit frustrating.
Yeah, it does. I thought that at the time as well. I haven't seen it back enough times to justify my opinion, but in the moment, I thought it was a harsh free kick. We then fast forward to PSG taking the free kick, and I thought the delivery was exceptional. Yeah. I really do. I think you need to, again, give credit where it's due. It's the perfect delivery, and it bounces off the wet surface, and the way that João Neves cushions the header, it's perfect. It's the sort of goal you score in training when you're flying around on a wet training pitch and you're having a bit of fun, 5v5 or whatever, but it was just brilliant the way he cushioned it, and I think Ederson is nothing he could have done about that. He heads into the ground and it skids off the ground, and that speed it picks up just takes it beyond Ederson.
There's a couple of things, because John Stones had just been substituted on, and the free kick comes in, and at first you're thinking, why hasn't someone headed it? But when you see the replay of John Stones, he's at full stretch.
Yeah.
Because the only logical header he can do is be in a wrong position or make the wrong attempt to try and head it, i.e. try and jump, which could have ended up in scoring an own goal, and the defender's not going to commit himself to that. And as you said, coming around the back, Neves, it's just perfect. Absolutely perfect. And for the goalkeeper, you're seeing essentially a awkward diversion in the ball, then an awkward header, and the pace and everything just beat him. I mean, the goal, the finish was top draw.
Is this a silly question? Why was there so many players at the near post and they didn't appear like there was anybody on the far post?
Because no one's expecting him to go to the far post.
Yeah, he was a free man. He was a free man at the back post, and I think City's setup probably suggested that they thought they were going to be able to deal with everything before it arrived at the back post. And if you are going to sacrifice an area, it's the back, because as the ball's travelling, the defence has time to adjust. But because the ball is so good, it's a world-class delivery, and you add in the pace of the ball as it skids off the wet surface, it actually doesn't give any player time to get back in, to get their body shape back in front of the ball. And that's one that you can't cover all bases, but you can try. And I think that's the one that City sacrificed at the back post, and just unfortunately for them, they were punished by an excellent ball in.
I think essentially if that delivery goes anywhere else, slightly right, slightly higher, slightly left, he doesn't get the chance to score. Everything about it was perfect.
Yeah, spot on.
And he just ran in thinking, I'll just cover the far post, and he executed the header so well that you have to give credit where it's due.
Love that analysis. Thank you. That made perfect. Like that clicked for me. And yeah, it was great. Thank you. In terms of the fourth goal, I have to admit, well, you guys know, my head was already in my hands. I didn't completely see it by then. We decided it was flagged offside, but then we immediately said in the studio it looked like it had come off the shoulder of Vardiol. It just kind of felt like it doesn't affect us, but it did affect the extra goal for PSG, took them up 1 or possibly even 2 places up the league, so it was still a big goal for them. It just felt like it was just a bit of kick in the teeth. It just to top the night off, Izzy.
Yeah, it did. But like you say, I think that not having a huge effect on the goal difference going into the Bruges game next week, I think, is something you can just take on the chin. But there's a real art now with the players and obviously Guardiola in picking the team back up, because we were waxing lyrical before the game at how much we both agreed that City were starting to gather momentum, and I still think they are. This is Champions League football at its very best, and you think back to the years that City have won the Champions League, and I remember games like this, chaotic games, and they didn't always win every game. And this is sometimes what happens in the Champions League. That's what's so unique and special about the competition. Obviously, when it goes in your favour, you have those special moments and celebrations. But I think just now the context is around picking up the group and absolutely going again and staying on the train, because I feel like they've done so many things correctly to get themselves back in a position where they're looking slick and sharp and they're starting to find their groove. And you got to just let tonight just be a little bruise and not a wound.
I think if you look at the context, and again, it's sort of hypothetical in one sense, but before the game, if you said 3 points was going to be enough to qualify for the Champions League, then it didn't matter about tonight. It would have been nice to get them tonight, but there were so many elements that were positive in that performance. First half was really good. The goals were fantastic. Of course, the 4 goals against weren't great, but it still leaves you in the same position that 3 points against Club Brugge, which we're confident City will qualify them. Now, if they qualify for the knockout in the playoff rounds or whatever first, it was going to be the way anyway.
Yeah.
Win tonight or win next week.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a comparison, and the best I came up with was when Italy won the Euros, didn't they have a stinking group stage?
Yeah.
Didn't they scrape through?
They had a stinky final as well.
And then they went on and won it. So I'll take a stinky final right now if City can get there, if we win it, David. So that was the best comparison I had. Just one other thing I want to say, just as a football fan, obviously, I'm bruised, it hurt, but when Dembele nutmegged Bernardo Silva, oof.
Yeah, a few of our crew said that'll be a gif. That'll be clipped up for socials, maybe. It's one of them you have to take that on the chin. It's not a nice feeling. That's all I can say.
I think we have to describe it to the viewers here. And I'm not laughing because I thought it was funny, but from behind the goal camera angle, the nutmegs on Bernardo, he turns round and his face is just like, I can't believe that's just happened.
He was as wild as we all were. Like, he just had to accept it, didn't he? Like,
it's the sort of thing Bernardo Silva would normally be doing to someone else.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that's probably why it hurts even more.
Yep.
Yeah, he can't believe it.
So it finished 4-2, but as we keep saying, all is not lost. City beat Bruges next Wednesday, and we still will qualify into the playoffs of the Champions League. Think of Italy. Think of Italy. Just got to get through. And then it's a whole new ball game. But of course, between now and then there is another game, because on Saturday we are back in Premier League action. City taking on Chelsea. That is a 5:30 p.m. kickoff. Of course, Matchday Live will be here with you before the show as well. But wow, it is a run of really tough games coming up. Now, for the Matchday Live show on Saturday, we've got Peter Reid and Tore Andre Flo on the show. Wow, that's going to be one brilliant show. I love that lineup. Of course, as I say, tough games coming up. Chelsea, then that Club Brugge game, and then City play Arsenal. So it's the beginning of a tough period of games. But in terms of Chelsea, Izzy, they are in 4th right now. They've been going through a sticky patch. They won on Monday night for the first time in 6 games. I don't know what Chelsea's going to turn up.
I don't think I do either. And no, I think this is it's another good opportunity to get back on board. And yeah, you don't know what Chelsea's going to turn up, but that doesn't really matter for City. It's all about, our processes and how they play. and making sure the players are fully recovered, ready to go and put in another massive performance on Saturday night.
So many storylines as well, as there always is with Chelsea. The first one being, of course, Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer returns again. He's had a good goal return against us since he went to Chelsea, and he continues to shine in that team, David.
Exceptional, absolutely. I still think it was the right move for him and for Manchester City for him to move on. But like as you said, I mean, this is a great opportunity for City to beat a side that everyone. I mean, I find it very interesting. We talk about pressure. As soon as Chelsea became part of the title conversation, their form dipped. It was almost like the pressure had hit them, and it was like, hang on a minute, we're actually in this. For everything that we've seen positive in City, and we were talking about prior to the game tonight, Chelsea players, you know what it's like when you're in that change room. Oh yeah, did you see? Oh yeah. We'll be able to do, and that's when they get the shock. So maybe my full one was for next week, for the weekend.
I'll take that. Yes, please, David.
No, I just think it's a perfect opportunity to shut a lot of people up. With regards to the Champions League and what's happened tonight, win next week, you go into the knockouts. And it's kind of, well, that's where we're going to be anyway. Then you qualify through knockouts, and then you start. And people forget about all this. Yep. Beat Chelsea weekend. People remember that.
Absolutely, yes, love that, and start that difficult week off in the right manner. I'd say other stories, obviously, Maresca is the manager of Chelsea. Of course, he was Pep's assistant here as well. There seems to, I mean, Manchester City putting academy players and coaches out into the Premier League. You know, Mikel Arteta, and Maresca. We're just doing everybody a favour, aren't we?
Well, and successful ones as well. So if you think about it, it's a compliment, really.
Yeah,
big compliment.
I like that. Big compliment.
But not too much of a compliment. Make sure we beat them.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think we can do that? Is it? I mean, in terms of shaking this off?
Yeah, definitely. Get back on it. Keep going. It's the best thing, isn't it? After a loss is another game and another big game. Is that the Etihad, right?
It is home game.
There we go. That's 2 great home games to look forward to over the next 7 days.
Chelsea don't play this midweek. Does that concern you at all, that they'll have extra leg rest?
Probably not. No, I don't think so. I think in this day and age, may I say, I think there's so many tools out there for players to recover at a high level and make sure they're ready to go again. And with City getting players back as well, I think it won't play too much of a factor in that game on Saturday night. It'll be rocking at the Etihad. It'll be under the lights. It'll be a good game for City to stamp their authority down, like David said.
Thank you very much, both of you, for being here tonight. Thank you, Izzy.
Thank you very much.
As always, thank you very much, David. Thank you all for joining us on tonight's Matchday Live. Of course, heartbreak in Paris, but still all to play for next Wednesday night. There is lots coming up on City Plus this week. The EDS take on Wolves on Friday night, and the Under-18s take on Leeds on Saturday morning. If you don't already have a subscription to City Plus, it's just $4.99 a month, or you can do $34.99 for the whole year. You get the EDS games, the Under-18s games, some of the women's games, and of course all of the incredible documentaries and content that you can find on there. Highly recommend you jump on that subscription. Okay, we might not have won tonight, but it's still been an exciting week with the addition of a couple of young up-and-coming superstars. So we will see you on Saturday before the Chelsea game. Between now and then, just dream of how good these guys are going to be when we see them in a City shirt.
Bu komanda dunyoning eng yaxshi komandalaridan biri. Men bu yoqqa trofey yutgan keldim. Men har doim qiyinchilik bilan kelganman. Hech narsa to'xtatish yo'q. Bu nafaqat men uchun, balki O'zbekiston uchun. Men ko'rganman qanaqa futbol o'ynayotganlarini. Menga ham qiziqish bo'lgan. Borganman. Bu komanda juda katta komanda. Treneri eng yaxshi trenerlardan biri. Shu uchun keldim.
Eu escolhi o Manchester City porque é clube gigante e desde criança eu sempre venho vendo e sempre está brigando por título. Pep é o melhor treinador do mundo, E eu sempre tive esse sonho de ser treinado por ele e agora estou realizando. Eu trago para o elenco muita felicidade, muita vontade de vencer e espero poder contribuir bastante. Pode ter certeza que eu vou deixar tudo dentro de campo. Tenho muita vontade, determinação. Sou um atleta que gosta bastante do combate e tenho um bom cabeceio também e um bom passe. Meus objetivos aqui no clube é fazer história, conquistar bastante títulos e ajudar toda a equipe. O meu sonho no futebol, eu acho que é conquistar uma Champions League e uma Copa do Mundo. Eu prefiro fazer um gol e deixar zerado, porque fazer gol é muito gostoso, a sensação de fazer um gol, né? E de não tomar um gol também acho que toda partida a gente procura isso, de não tomar gol. Eu acho que como o City gosta de jogar com a bola, gosta de jogar desse jeito, também gosto, eu acho que é meu estilo de jogo também. E eu acho que o City já demonstrou essa confiança para mim, de querer me contratar, então eu já fico muito confiante.